Hi everyone, today I thought I would set myself a little challenge to create a game of chess within PowerApps. So I've kind of got an idea of what I'm going to do, and I'm going to show you all of the steps that you need to take. Now, whilst obviously I'm going to need to do all the bits and pieces, I will make available some of the materials on GitHub so that you can get started a bit quicker than I have to get started. But you guys should get to see the whole process, and I'll hopefully speed some bits up if it is needed. Okay, so moving on, we've got certain steps that we need to take in order to go through this. So the first thing that I need to do is I need to create the board. Now, a chessboard is an 8x8 board, so we'll need sort of black and white squares. I may need to even work out what the board looks like. I need to work out which bit's white and which bit's not white and so on. Then I'll need to add the pieces. Then I'll need to add some buttons in so that when you click one button and then you click another square, you can take pieces away, and then that will be how the game progresses. So although it's, you know, it's a game that's been around for centuries, so in theory it should be reasonably straightforward to do. I'm not going to do anything complicated to do with working out where a piece can and can't go. I'm just going to it's just going to be point and click, and then, you know, and then the pieces will move. So it's not going to teach you how to play chess. It's just going to be an app that means that you could conceivably have a game of chess. So let's see how that goes. I should really show you what you guys are going to be able to produce if you kind of follow through the video. It is a little bit on the difficult side, to be honest. So essentially you've got a chessboard, you kind of click the move button, you then say, well, I want to start off from here and then want to go to here, and then you click and you move from one place to the other. Now that was, you know, visually it's not that beautiful and so on. I just want to show you that you actually can click on admin, and then if you click start game, it will actually reset the game back to its original state. Now, since then, and both of these apps are available on the GitHub. That I did an optimized version of this, so I'll just show you how that one works. This one's a little bit nicer to look at, where you get to click on this bit here, you click on this bit here, and then the second time you click on it, it'll actually make the move. So it's actually a bit more natural way to actually play a game of chess. So you can kind of click there. It makes a lot of sense to me to use it this way, and then you can kind of go there. But and you can kind of see that this is okay. I'm happy with this. What you can't do is, if you accidentally make a move, you can't go back, you know, but it's not made for this. And also, if you kind of remove a piece from the board, I haven't introduced a way of putting it back on the board, and that would be a kind of nice little touch as well. So that so as I say, the thing that you are aiming for is going to look much more like this when you finish. So hopefully you're fired up for that now. Okay, so on with the show. Here we are in Office 365. You need to go to www.office.com to get there. If you don't immediately see PowerApps, make sure you type in Power at the top there. If you still don't see it, you would need to speak to your administrator to get your license turned on. So I'm going to click on PowerApps, and it's going to fire up make.powerapps.com. And then we are going to create the app. So I'm just going to move over to create. So I'm going to click create there, and it's going to fire us up an option to create an app. We always go canvas app from blank because it tells it just shows you that we're literally going from blank. We are, we're starting from a completely clean slate, and that's exactly what you should do. So we're starting up from Canvas app from blank. I'm going to call it chess. I'm going to call it, let's call it chess video, because it'll be the one that relates to the video. So if you find it on GitHub, that will be the one that I'm in the middle of, and it's going to be a tablet app rather than a phone app. So I'm going to click create on that, and off it goes, and it's going to start creating a blank canvas for me. So I'm just waiting for it to all pop up. So what I will do in a moment is I will need to move over to Excel, because we need to create the contents for our board. So I will do that in just a second. So I'm going to click don't show this again, skip, and yeah, I'm just going to do some basic things here. I'm really not too fussed about it. I'm going to do insert a label and pop that in there, and maybe just pop. I'm going to go for I think I'm going to go for a green background. So background image. In fact, is it an image? It's not really an image. I'm just going to go background. You should get background fill. So background fill, and it's just fill, it's straight fill, and I'm going to do light green. You can do lots of other clever ways of doing this. You can actually go across here, and you can then go to custom, and then you can go to the exact color that you want. So maybe that's the color that we want. We can just sort of drag it across there. I don't really like that one, actually. I'm going to go for light green. I just want to sort of make sure the board sort of stands out a little bit there. And then I'm going to, I did put this text box in here, so it was insert text, and what I can do is I can sort of type in chess there. I've got this idea in my head that maybe it would be a board where the two people could play it on either side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the size option here, size, and make it huge. So let's go, I don't know, let's go for 90. What does 90 look like? Because what I want to do is I want to make it just drag it down like that, and that's not too bad. And maybe what I would do is I would just do a copy and paste of that, and then what I could do is I could actually make it SSEHC. So that would be chess from the other person's point of view. So I'm looking at the screen here. So I've kind of got myself set up. I don't know if this is a very good way of doing it, but anyway, this is just a little bit of fun. The next bit is really important. So the idea is that we have got a board. It's going to have 64. I'm just going to have a look at a chessboard on the internet. Chessboard. So let's just have a look at a chessboard, looking for the images here, and you can see that it's white on the bottom left there. In actual fact, because of the way in which we'll go to images actually, because of the way in which PowerApps thinks, it actually thinks from the top left down to the bottom right. So this cell would be number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, etc, etc, etc. So that's what we've got going on here. And what I might actually use this one here, I'm going to go to images, I'm going to click on this one here, and that is actually quite a nice chessboard. So I'm just going to do open image in new tab so I get to see the full image. Then what I'm going to do is I am going to go to the snipping tool. So what you have to do is you have to go. I'm going to share my screen properly. So Control P. I'm going to share it so you can see it's a duplicated screen. Just hold on for a second. Duplicate that. and just pop that to one side, because what I want to show you is that you can type in snipping tool and then I'll go new on that, and I can just drag this down from here down to there, and that is my chessboard. Looks quite nice. And I'll do file. That is a bit cheating, actually. I thought it might be a nice idea to do it like that. I'll bring it in, but I may change my mind. So I'm gonna do save as, and I'm gonna put it onto my computer. I'm gonna call it chessboard, and it's a JPEG file. So I'll just make a save of that. So I've been doing some bits and pieces in the background, and I've basically created something in this PowerApps for Kids chess, and if I refresh it we should see that we've got a few files in there. You can see that the file has gone in there. Now, one trick on this, if you click on this and then where it says download, if you right click on it and do copy link address, what you can actually do is you can go back to the chess game, and then you can go insert media and go image, but then what you can do is if you do quote and then paste it in, so I'm doing Control V here, and then close the quotes down, we're going to get a chessboard. I think that's quite cool. So I'm going to do that one more time. I'm going to go onto there. I'm going to right click. So I'll just go right from the start. So I'm going to go to PowerApps for Kids, and then I can go on to the repositories. Then I can go on to chess. There's only one thing in there. There's the chessboard. Then I click on chessboard, and then I right click on this, and then I can do copy link address. And then what I do is go back to the chess vid, and you can see this gobbledygook here, blah 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 blah, and then it says chessboard.jpg. So in it goes. That's kind of okay. I don't know if I'm actually going to finally use this, but we'll see what happens in the future. It's not too bad. So the next thing that we have to do is we need to set our board up. Now we do need to go at some point to go and get some chess pieces. I'm not going to do that straight away. What I need to do is I need to kind of work out where all the pieces need to go and what they are and so on. So in order to do that, I'm going to go on to Microsoft Office Home, and I'm going to go on to Excel here, and I'm going to do new blank workbook. I'll call it chess because that seems reasonable. I don't know if it's actually given me the option. It's called book at the moment. I'm going to call it chess. Oops. Chess. I'll just do it in capitals. Chess _ resources. And I will put them on to GitHub in due course. So there's chess resources, and what I need to do on this is I need to do the numbers. I'll call it position, the position, which will be 1, 2, etc., etc. I will put the color of the square. I'm gonna call it. I will just call it square color. Color. Just gonna go for UK spelling there on that, so don't worry about that. So square color, and then I will need to do the piece. I'll call it chess piece, and notice that I'm actually doing it. I'm putting all of I'm not putting any spaces between the words, because sometimes that makes things go a bit funny. Chess piece, and then I'll call it chess piece color. Okay, good. So that's me started on that. So what I now need to do is I need to drag down. I'm going to start off with square color. I'm going to go, I think we saw that it was, it goes black, then white, then black, then white. Okay, that's good. So, and I don't know if yeah, look, it goes white, then white. How confusing is that? Chess, what are you doing? Okay, so what I need to do on that is I need back to chess resources. So I go black. I'm going to do it capitals. Black, then white. And what we should find is if I drag this down, black, then white, then black, then white, and we go to 8, which is just 9 there. Yeah, that's okay. But then we actually go, if I do the 9th one, it's actually white, then black, which is nice. Which is white, then black, which is 10. Now, I think that by the time you get to 16, it'll then should just repeat itself. So I'm just gonna go all the way up to 16, which is I think this one here. So in white, then white. Okay, and then what we can do is we can then sort of copy this section down. It should work, and we'll see later on if it does or doesn't work. So what we're going to do eventually is we'll actually set the board up with the castle, etc, etc. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to drag this down here all the way down to 64, so it'll actually be 65, which means I've got 64, and then what I can do is I can then copy this down here, so you go black, black, which is great, and just basically paste it all the way down so that we get the right colors. And so what it's saying here is in cell 64, which is the bottom right cell, we should be black by that stage. So if we have a look on the chessboard that we got here, we're black down there. So that looks like it's kind of going okay. Now what I need to do is I need to set the board up. So I've got chessboard pictures here, but let's kind of go a bit simpler, and we can actually see this is a chessboard being set up. And you can see that we start off with, don't worry about the numbers there, we're not going to use those anyway. So we go castle, then a knight, then a bishop, then then the queen, then the castle, etc, etc, etc. So that's what we are going to do now. So I think what I'll do now is see if I can actually get these both on the screen at the same time. So let's see if I can kind of make it so that that just shows my skills. And what I'm going to do is I need Excel up here as well. So that's chess resources. Perfect. So I now know what I need to do. So what we're going to do is we're going to work across the board here, and the chess piece color for the first 16 has to be black, black. Or we're going to do it that way anyway. So we'll do the first 16, they're all going to be black. What we're going to do is we now need to put the chess piece in. Okay, so then what we got I'm just going to keep on capitals. Castle. Then we have a knight. Then we have a bishop. Then we've got a queen. Then we've got the king. And what we'll do later on, the idea with these is that the combination of the chess piece and the chess piece color will then choose a particular image. So we're going to have to go and get some images later on of all the different pieces, and there's not that many of them. There's just, there's effectively 9 per, it's not even 9 per side, so it's a small number of pieces that will be needed for this thing to work. So we go queen, and then we go bishop, and then we go knight, and then we go castle, and then we end up with a lot of pawns. So Now, I don't think that we can just do a straight copy of this. In fact, we can do a straight copy of this. Looking at that, they are matched. So what I'm going to do is I am going to just do a copy and paste of this. Now, it doesn't quite work. So I'm just looking at 64. Where does that take us down to? I think that means that we start on 49. Let's just see what that looks like. But it's the wrong way round. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy it to one side actually. Just copy it there. Because what we need is a bunch of pawns to start with. And they are going to be all white. Now I will give this to you. You don't have to do any of this now, but it's kind of interesting to see it all working. So white, we've got a load of white pawns down to, is that right? I don't know, it feels like it doesn't feel quite right. Oh, it must be right, yeah. So a load of white pawns, and then what I'm going to do is I am going to take these and the castle and just going to see if that works. So I've got castle, knight, bishop, queen, king, bishop, knight, castle. That should work. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to close this down. What we do need to do is we will need to turn this into a table. So I am going to put this onto my own. Well, in fact, I can actually just, like, if you just copy that and select this whole thing now. Usually if you do Control T, it turns it into a table, and PowerApps needs a table. So if I go Control T, nope, it doesn't work at all. So if I go onto data, I need to turn this into a table, and I don't actually know where to do it in here. So let's just see what it does. Insert, maybe it's a table in here, but I do need to know how to do it in the desktop app. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click open in desktop app, open in Excel, which is great, and then I will push this onto the screen. So I don't need you anymore. I'm just going to hit I'll pop this onto the screen when it finally arrives. So I'm now in Excel, but on my computer. So what I need to do is I need to select all of this and go down to there, and I'm going to do Control T, and then that's going to create a table for us. You'll see that it looks a bit different, but from the brain of PowerApps, it needs a table. So I've got this position, square color, chess piece color, lovely. What I can now do is I should be able to set the board up, but without images to begin with. So I will do that now. I'll do file. I need to work out where it's actually saved. I need to save this somewhere where I can access it in the future. So I'll do that now. I'll do save a copy, and I need to set it into somewhere that this thing can find. So you'll have to bear with me whilst I do that. Now, one thing I didn't do was I didn't give the table a good name, because this name up here, let me just see if I can do something special here. Yeah, this name up here is the name that PowerApps will see. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make it chess resources. So I'm just going to click on there and I call it chess. Oops, chess. I will do it. I'll just do it exactly the same. Chess _ resources. And then click enter on that. And then that way it will all kind of work nicely. So I've done what I need to do there. Now what I need to do is I need to go back to PowerApps and I need to bring this in. So we're going to go on to PowerApps and we're going to go back onto the app that we're in the middle of. And what I need to do is I need to go to View, then Data Sources, and where it says Data Sources here, I'm going to type the word Excel. So now it's going to say import from Excel. So we're going to go and get our Excel file, and I'm just going to go and click on that. Now, it may be that some of you have some difficulties with this. I'll sort of show you some bits and pieces in a moment. So I need to go and get the file. Now I have put it into a little folder here, and I need to just navigate to that folder and navigate to chess. And there's my chess resources. And if I click open on that, it will see, you'll see on the right hand side here, that, in fact, look at that. It says table 1. Well, that's probably because I didn't save it. So I need to go on to Excel, because I don't want to call it table 1. It's not very good. So I need to go on to my Excel spreadsheet and make sure that this definitely says save resource, save. This definitely says for that table design, you can see it says chess resources. I think I probably didn't save it. So if I click save on that again, I do it again, I should be okay. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go back onto my I'm going to go back and import the data from Excel again. And it's no, oh yeah, it is. It's coming up with an option for me, and you can see that I've just saved it now. I'm looking at the time, click on chess resources, click on OK, and then this time round, fingers crossed, it should say chess resources, and I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to click connect. Now, at that point, like, nothing happens, but what we've actually done is we've brought it into we brought this into our app. And what I'm going to show you is a little trick for when you've got these sort of things. It's actually quite hard to know what you've actually brought in. So if I go to home there, I'm going to click X here, and then I'm going to click on this piece here just to make sure that I can see everything. Just need to click on there. I click on that, and I can click on the tree view as well, which means I can see all the screens and so on. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to insert a new screen. So insert new screen, but it's not going to be a very interesting screen. I'm going to just make it a blank screen. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to click a data table, because they are super easy to use. And then what I can do is click on what's going to be the data source for that. Well, it's going to be my chess resources. And then you just whiz over to edit fields, which is over here. Oops, I just did something strange then. Yeah, so you need to go to edit fields here. And then when you go to the edit fields, then you go to add field. And you can then choose the different things that are in the data table. And you'll see them all just sort of line up here any second now. Now, interestingly enough, yeah, that does look okay. So we can see what we've got here. It's actually you can sort it in whichever order you want to sort it in. It doesn't matter from the point of view of PowerApps. And now what I can do is I can have a little look to see. In fact, you can see that we've got chess piece, color. It doesn't really matter which order in which they come out in, but you can see that we've taken in that data. That's great. It's okay, but it's not the complete thing that we need to do. So what I need to do is I need to be able to make this something that we can start editing. And in order to do that, what I need is what's known as a collection. So whilst the Excel spreadsheet was was like a static table, we couldn't do anything with it. If I create a collection, we will actually be able to manipulate what is going on in those places. So I am going to click on the X here. I think I'm partway through this. I'm thinking this is actually quite a difficult video for people, but we'll do it anyway. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back onto screen 1, and I'm actually going to create an ad. Well, actually, let's keep it all to the same. Let's keep it all to the same screen if we can. So I'm going to put in a button there, and the button is going to be called Start Game. Now, something needs to happen when we start the game, and what's going to happen when we start the game is we're going to create a collection, and the collection is what's in our Excel spreadsheet, and it's really quite simple. So what we're going to do is on select, we're going to do ClearCollect, and we're going to call it let's call it chess. I'm going to call it something called game board. I've just made it up. I could have called it anything. Called game board. What are we going to put in there? We are actually going to put in the, if I type in chess, we're going to put in chess resources. That's what we're going to put in. So chess resources, and what will happen is it's got the squiggly here, so it's not happy, but as soon as I close the brackets on this, it'll be happy. And what I can do is I can now click start game, and nothing is going to happen. However, what we can actually do is if we get a file and then we get a collections, what we'll see is that we've now got this collection called Col Game Board. Okay, so and it is exactly the same as this data table. That's interesting. But what I can do is I can show you that it is exactly the same. So I can go insert a data table and do the same thing here. You can see we've now got an option for Col Game Board, and what we can then do is go to the edit fields, and then we can go add field, and we can just add all those pieces, bits and pieces in, and it'll be exactly the same. It'll just kind of all work itself out. So you can see that it is the same, but the difference is that we can actually interact with this, with the collection in a way that we can't do with the data table. So I hope you're all with me at this point. We are just about to get to the bit that starts to get more interesting. So if I go on to screen one, let's call it rename the screen and call it game screen. I've got it all one word. I'm going to call it game screen, all one word. Job done. I'm going to rename the button to be BTN Start Game. I'm going to change the image to be IMG chess board, and I'm not going to bother with the labels. They're not that interesting. We're not going to be interacting with them too much. So now what we've got to do is something that is going to be quite interesting, to me anyway. So I'm going to insert a gallery. Now I may get it wrong first time round, but we'll see how that goes. So I have worked out how to do this. I think I have anyway. So what I need to do is I need to put in a gallery, and it's going to be a vertical gallery. Don't worry, we'll work it out. And what I'm going to do is this bit where it says layout, I'm going to change that to be, I'm just going to make it blank. Okay, nothing's going to be in there. And then with a data source, I want it to be this Col Game Board. And then what I need to do is I need to bring in you can drag them in like this. There's loads of ways that you can bring them in. You can go text, and you can bring in a label like this. And you can actually see the different things that are in there. And what I can actually do is I can bring in another label, text label. I don't think you can drag them in actually. You can drag them in from the left hand side. So if you're at this point here and you need to click on the plus, then you'll be able to see that you can drag in the text label in there, and it usually has a bit of a guess as to what it is you want. I'm going to actually put there's something called position, and that'll give us the numbers. So what I'm now going to do is, now is where the magic starts, so to speak. And what we're going to do is we're actually going to make the chessboard here. So instead of it going down like that, we need to go for it to go across and then across and then across and across. So what we need to do on that is we need to select on the entire gallery. So this is gallery 2. And what we need to do is we need to go, and where it says wrap count here, we need to make it go 8, because on the chessboard it goes 8 and then does another 8. So I need to make it 8, and then the gallery will start to do something strange. So we'll need to make it a bit bigger, I think. And then we need to start thinking about making this. So you need to click in the top left, and we're going to make it kind of pretty square and pretty small, actually. And you can sort of see that the fact that we're going to need to pick these things up and put them in places. Now, it's probably better if we actually do this, add the little bits and pieces in right at the end. But we're here anyway. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it super, super small. In fact, you can see that the whole board is there now, and you can actually see that we've now got a chessboard now, and it is now. What am I going to do here? I'm going to make this. It's actually quite difficult to see what we're doing at the moment. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to make the color of these things. Well, we'll have to see. Let's just make it bold. I'll probably delete them later on anyway. So I'm going to make it bold so we can see what we're doing. Okay. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the top left one. It's a bit tricky at the moment because everything's quite small. So I'm going to sort of make it a bit, the size a bit bigger. Now I've clicked on there. It's quite difficult, but can you see the edit gallery bit? If you click on there, it will always take you to the top left cell, and that's what we want to be in. And now I think what I need is the template fill. Now at the moment it's got no fill at all, but we know that on the Excel spreadsheet that we had, I don't know where it's gone, on the Excel spreadsheet that we had, we know the square color, it says black and so on. So we're going to use that information to actually color these cells. So template fill, and this is the bit where the writing will probably disappear as well. So template fill, and I'm going to put if, I'm not sure it's color, chess piece color. That's not it's not called that at all. It's called square color. If square color, I know, if this item, so the item that we're currently on, dot square color equals, and I need to put quotes black, then I'm going to make it the color black. So notice I won't use quotes for this. So I'll make it black. Otherwise, I want it to make it, I'm not going to make it white. I'm going to make it something like beige or something like that. You can see it's actually, you can see that people use brown and things like that. So let's just do it as brown. Maybe dark brown. Dark brown. Not sure what dark brown looks like. They don't even have it. So we'll just go brown like that. Otherwise, make it beige. Do they have beige? They've got beige. I can pick beige, and then I'm going to close the brackets. And at this point, all of the cell, all that we should end up with a grid that comes up. Oh, it doesn't. That's a bit strange. So it has actually changed the color, but it's not changed it in the way I expected. So I'm going to need to investigate that a little bit. So actually the reason why it went wrong, it was a bit of a schoolboy error, and the reason why it went wrong is because we don't actually have black in there at all. So if we actually look on the tree view and we actually look at screen 2, what you'll actually see is they should actually have some data. It's not actually black with, as in, it's all in uppercase. So what that means, if I go back to the game screen and go on to this cell here, then if it's black, as in capitals black, now we've got a chessboard. Okay, so the thing that we need to do next is we need to go and get some like pictures of things so that it actually looks okay. Now I've got the positions on the screen, but we will get rid of them eventually. So the next thing I've got to do is I've got to go and get myself some black pawns and some different pieces and so on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go away and get them and then come back again. So what I've done into GitHub, I've actually put all of the images that we're going to need. Hopefully I've spelled them right because it'll make a huge difference. What I'm going to do is I am going to just show you that, for example, you've got the black bishop here and you can actually see that it is a black bishop, and we're going to use that. So if you remember, earlier on we worked out the link address. So if I go to copy link address and I just go on to Notepad, I'll be able to show you that the link address that we've got here. So if I make that a bit bigger, all we're going to do is we're just going to change this so that we use all of that and then dynamically change this so that it actually has the correct piece on the correct square. That is what the next stage is about. Here we go. So what we're going to do is we're going to insert an image. It's getting a bit busy here, to be fair. I can't do a lot about that. I'm just going to make the screen a bit bigger. I think that will help us. It's going to go insert, and it's going to be me. You can do it in loads of different ways. In fact, it's probably better if we actually go from insert from here, because then what we can do is just type in image, and then what we can do is we can drag it across into this space here. Now initially it's not going to come up with anything. In fact, it's not very happy with it at all. But what we're going to do is we are going to do I'm going to do quote, and that's going to give us a bishop everywhere. But that's not what we want. What we want is some bishops and some not bishops. So what we're going to do is we're going to have end the quote, and then we're going to go and, really important here, and then this item dot chess. Oh, it's this item dot chess piece color, and this item dot chess piece, and hopefully and then what we need to do is we need to get rid of the bit where it says black bishop. We need to stick in an ampersand, and then we need to put in the quotes there. So actually I'm quite impressed with that. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to copy that. I'm just going to show you how it looks like on screen. So I'm just going to paste that in there. That is what you should have. That's what you need to write down now, and I'll try and find a way of actually ensuring that you have got that available to you. What I will do is I will do file, and I'll go save as, and I will stick it into GitHub. I just need to find that GitHub P4K and then chess, and then what are we going to call it? We're going to call it chess code.txt. So that will be available for you in the future. And I think what I'll do is I'll put some more things in there for you too. So now we've got a chessboard that actually looks like a chessboard. I'm probably not going to bother with the image that we put in initially. I kind of like this one. It's hardboard anyway. So I'm going to delete that. And I put a little bit of branding in there. That's always nice. What I am going to do is I kind of want an admin wide because I don't want people accidentally clicking on the start game. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do action. I need to insert, input, and then a checkbox. And I'm going to call it admin. And I'm going to rename this checkbox to I need to go top right, CKB admin. I always call it CKB admin. And what we're going to do with that is we're going to make things show and hide. So what we're going to do is with this bit which says start game, we're going to put visible and we're going to call it CKB admin. And it will only show if CKB admin is selected. So what you can do on that is you can see that it's going to now appear and disappear and appear and disappear. And what I'm going to do with that is I'm also going to connect it to these things here, the words that we've got on the screen here. So if I go to gallery 2, I'm going to change this bit where it says gallery 2. I'm going to call it gal game. Chess game. So that's fine. Notice I'm never putting spaces into these things. It just makes it a little bit harder later on. So just don't put spaces in there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go onto this tree view and this bit where it says label 4 and 3. I'm actually just going to go select both of them and then I'm going to go onto the visible, click on that and then type in CKB admin, and that will make it show and hide based on whether or not admin is showing. So that's kind of cleaned things up a little bit. Now what I now need to do is I now need to make the pieces move, because otherwise it's a pointless game. So this is where I will have to do a little bit of thinking of my own. So roughly speaking, what we're going to do is the idea is you click on a particular cell, and then what that is going to do, it's going to remember that you clicked on it, and then when you click on another cell, it means that that's where you want to take one thing from and the other one to, and it's going to record both of those things. And essentially, it's going to be like a replacement thing. So that means that the place that you initially clicked is going to have nothing in it. And the place that you clicked to will have your piece in it. Okay, so I know there are some more complex rules in chess. Like there's only a few, like maybe castling and things like that. I'm sure we can work it out. You know, we can just make things move around the place. So so it will be so cool to be able to do this. So the way in which I'm going to have to do this is I am going to have to put some buttons on, well, essentially buttons on my gallery. So let me just, and I'm going to make them really obvious buttons to begin with. So I'm going to change the size of this thing here, just so I've got a little bit more space to play with. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to increase the size of my screen here, so that will also help me out. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a button, which is I'm going to call this from, and I'm going to make it really small, and I'm going to change the size. Which its size is actually the size of the text, so I make that 8, say, and I wanted to kind of make these buttons won't be here, by the way, so we're going to go from and to. So what we're going to do is I'm I wanted to make the color to be kind of red would be the from, although that is a bit in your face, and then green will be the to. So from, and then I'll do another one which is to, and the color of that is going to be fill is going to be green. Okay, so from and to, and I'm just going to change the size of that to be make it 6, from and to. So the problem we've got now is like, what on earth are we going to do when we click from? So what I need to do when I click from is I need to create a kind of, I need to remember that is the cell I'm on. So so what I'm going to do is I'm going to create another separate table called something like col move or something like that, and I will remember that I clicked from, and I will then, when I click to, it'll remember the second line, and then it'll basically update my table. That is the idea. What I'm going to do now is, I had planned on doing it one way, and I thought actually no, there's a slightly better way of us recording what we're doing. So what I'm going to do is show you what's happening on the from and the to buttons. So on this button, which is the from button, I'm going to call it BTN from. Okay, so there's the button from. What's going to happen on the button from, I am going to, what I need to do is I need to remember where I am, and I need to record the nature of the piece that is going somewhere else. So the way in which I'm going to do that is, I've got this thing where it says set GV source position equals this item dot position, and I've got this GV actually I've just written it really, source position. Yes, I've got a source and I've got a destination. So the source is going to be blanked out because I'm moving from there, and the destination will have something in it. The problem is we don't know what the destination is yet. So on the to button, what happens is we need to set the destination position. So what I'm going to do is I'm now just going to pop in a little label so that we actually know whether or not we are recording things correctly. So I'm just going to put into there, I'm just going to do a label, and in that label I'm just going to put I'm just going to put the little things anyway, GV source. So that's going to be where we start. I'm just going to make sure I actually clicked on something, clicking from and to. So the source is, the position is 1. I'm going to click and enter in there, and then I'm going to do GV destination. Oh, it doesn't like that actually. So I probably need to put an and in there as well. GV destination. Now it probably won't like this destination chess piece, and then I'll put and GV destination chess piece color. So what I will need to do is I need to put in a little quotes in there, so that there's actually a space between them, and I'll also need to do some quotes in there, and quote space, oops, quote space, quote, and that should, I will actually put a little enter in there just here. If I actually just put an enter, oops, if I actually enter down like that, that should offset them. So if I'll just go on to there, so I've got 1 castle black. So is that one, in fact I'm going to click it again, 1 knight black, 2 bishop black. Okay, that's fantastic. So, but if I click on 2, does it actually do anything? Well, it does, but we don't know what it does. So the 2 bit is this item dot position. So where is it going to head off to? So we need to then on here, I'm just going to make it a bit bigger. I am going to do and quote, and then I'm going to actually do shift enter another quote because that'll do me a line feed. And I'll do an and, I'll put GV destination position. So that should tell me where I'm heading off to. So yeah, you can see it's kind of, the label wasn't quite big enough for that. So I'm just gonna make it a bit bigger. So if I now click on my from, I can click it's a bishop black, and then if I click on to anywhere really, you can see it's position number 21 because it's 8 plus 8 plus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And there's my 2, etc, etc. So now we are armed with knowing where we're going from and where we're going to go to. Now we've literally just on the cusp of being able to actually make it so that we can make a move. So this is going to be interesting. So I have this idea is that we kind of commit a move somewhere. So that's what I'm going to do now. So what I am going to do is I'm going to do a commit move. Now what I will do when we select these is I'm gonna kind of put a highlight on the thing that we're actually selecting. I think that would be quite useful to us, otherwise we won't know what's going on. We'll kind of know, but we won't know particularly well. So and I don't think that we can get away with just the selecting it side of things. It needs to basically know. So we'll maybe, in fact, maybe that'll be the next thing that we'll do, is we'll just make this highlight the thing that we've just selected. So I need to do some jiggery pokery with that to make it happen. So let's see what we can do on that. So this is what we're aiming for now. It's something that just makes it a little bit clearer as to what we've actually selected on. So I'm just going to show you what the idea is, that as I click on the different things, then and click on to, we can actually see where it's trying to go from and to. So what I'm going to do now is show you how I've actually done that. So I'm going to go onto there and I'm going to select. Remember, I have to go top left every time. So I'm going to select that. And what I'm going to do is I am going to show you this formula. So originally it was just red, and which wasn't really that helpful. So what I'm going to say is if the GV, which is the global variable, so if the GV source position equals this item, bear in mind that we know what this item dot position, then red, otherwise black. Now what that means is that if we go back into that admin mode, then we can actually, well, we haven't actually put the number on there. So what I need to do on this here is if I actually go onto here, and instead of it saying, instead of the text saying this item dot chess piece, which we can see, we can make it this item dot position, and that will give us the number. And I'm going to make it quite small, make it something like 8, say, and that should be nice and neat there. So we can actually see if we go on to there, the position is 2, so the position is 3, the position is 4. That's what it's sort of measuring here. So if I go back onto the from, if GV source position equals this item dot position, then red, otherwise black. So if you actually highlight this, you should find it actually tells you, actually no, if I double click on this, GV position equals 4. That's what it's saying it is at the moment, or rather its GV source position is 4. So that's what I've done with this. As you can see, it's not beautiful, but you know, but there's lots of ways in which you can choose to improve this. So next stage is we need to commit the move. I think that's the next stage that we've got. So what we're going to do is we are going to do a insert button, and I'm going to call it BT. Oh, no, that's not in the right place. Undo that, and undo that, and undo that. I think I'm just going to delete the button. So what I need to do is click off and do a button here, and then when we select the button, I'm going to call it commit move. Okay, so the idea with that is that when we click the button, the pieces will change where they are on the screen. So what I'm going to do there is I am going to work out the formula that I need to do in order to make the pieces change. Now the first one's really kind of straightforward because we know that the space is going to be empty, but the second one is a little bit more tricky. So we're going to have a look about to see how that works. So here we go. This button, which is commit move, I'm actually going to rename the button. So I'm going to call it btn commit. Just call it button commit. That's fine. Now, what I'm going to show you is that if you go on to the notes, all I'm going to do is grab this and I'm going to go on to the on select and paste it in. And what we'll see is that what we can do is if I select on this one here and I got commit move, what it will do is it will just remove it. Look, just disappears. Now if I click start game, it'll set everything back to where it was to begin with. Everyone's all happy. So the question is, how does that even work? So what I'm going to do is to unpick that for you. So what it does is on the we do an update to the game board. The game board is where we have all of our pieces, and what it does is it says, well, what am I going to update? And what we did is we recorded earlier on the source position, and the source position was when you click on from, it says, well, my source position is the one that I'm currently on. And so what it then does, it then says, well, my new chess piece is going to be nothing, and my new chess piece color is going to be nothing as well. And that's how it gets rid of it. So we can actually see that working, and it's quite effective. You click commit move and it disappears. The problem is we now need to update the place it's going to make sure that it's all nice and happy. So what I'm going to do that one as a kind of a live build on there. So the idea with that is I'm just going to copy this lot here, and then I need to make sure I put a semicolon after that. And then what I'm going to do is the next one is I'm going to do the position is going to be GV destination position. So the chess piece then becomes the GV destination chess piece, and the chess piece color needs to be the GV destination piece chess piece color. The long one, that one. I think this might work. So let's see what happens. So I'm going to click from, and I'm going to click. In fact, I'm going to start the game because that will mean I've got a full chessboard. And I'm going to basically do that very first move, which is from here, and it's going to be to here. So it's going to go from there to there. Now I'm going to get rid of the, you can see that it's a bit messy at the moment, but we can fix that, I think. And if I go commit move, that should move forwards. Oh, but you know what it has done? It's actually changed the cell color bizarrely to a white color. It's definitely not what we wanted. So I'll have a little look at what's going on there. So it nearly did what we wanted. So chess piece color. That is just completely mad. That it's actually updated that. It shouldn't really have done that. So I'll have a little investigation of that. Well, I can see that this is going to be more complicated than I'd like it to be. So all I'm going to do on this is I am going to bring in the image that we had before. So if I go on to PowerApps4Kids, and then I go on to the repositories, and then go on to chess, and then I go and find that chessboard, which is here, click on that, and then right click on the download and copy link address. What I can then do is I can do insert, and then I can pop an image in, and where it says image I can go quotes, paste that in, and then close the quotes down, and it should appear somewhere on my screen. There it is over there. So what I'm going to now do is I'm going to right click on it, reorder, send it to the back. That means it's behind everything. And then what I'm going to do is well, I guess it must be square, so they're both going to be all right. And I'm just going to select top left and then template fill, and I'm just going to go RGBA, comma 0000. That'll mean it doesn't have anything in it at all. And I am now going to have to expand this out so that it fills the screen. So definitely more entertaining than but it's kind of nice as well. I don't think it looks too bad. So I just need to zoom in a little bit so I can actually get this done. There's a little bit, it's a little bit peculiar how the it's I think there may be in terms of it's not quite a perfect square, so I may need to sort of fiddle with this a little bit in order to get it absolutely perfect. But you kind of get the idea that we're looking for. So I think that the problem is that my gallery isn't completely perfectly square. So I think if I get my gallery and then just sort of sit it on top of the board that I know to be square, then I actually think I'm pretty square at this point in time. So I'm just going to do it like that, and then I should be able to expand it up here. I'm pretty close now. It's not perfect, but the gallery needs to, I don't think the gallery is quite perfectly square, and if that's what's kind of causing us a tiny bit of problems. I'm just staring intently at the screen here. I'm pretty close now. Yeah. If I kind of zoom in a little bit further, then it'll give me a little bit more leeway to move things around. But yeah, just a bit of attention to detail there. So now that I'm not going to have that issue with the go and the from to, because it will always look fine. So now what should happen is, look at that. Look at the bottom there. I've got a load of I must have some issue with my data at the bottom, because that's a little bit loaded looking in that area there. So if I kind of click on the from and the to, I can actually get those, and then I click commit move, then I can get them to move from one place to another. I can go from and to, and I can go commit move, and then they will move around the place. And in fact, I should be able to go from and, oops, I should be able to go, that is interesting. I should be able to go from and to and commit the move there. And it's just gone completely mad. Let's just see, there must be an issue with the formula there somewhere along the line, so I'll fix that up. But I definitely want to be able to take a piece. And if I go to, and why is that not, and that's definitely upset. Commit move. In fact, you can see there that actually when I clicked from, it didn't work it out. In fact, I don't know whether or not it's the fact it's not clear in itself. So on the on this side of things, what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of reset things once it's done. So so I'm going to do set GV destination position and destination color and so on. GV destination position to 0, and set GV, in fact, it's not going to be happy with me. Put a little thing in there. Destination, source position to be 0, and then close the quotes, and then we'll see if that actually makes the makes it change. So that's all kind of a little bit happier now. So I can go from, and I think that the issue here is that actually, as we've been moving around, we've been wrecking the positions and so on, because we never recorded them. So what I'm going to do on there is, on this, I can see what's happened now. When we do the update, we need to actually update the position as well, which seems a bit odd to me, but there you go. So what I need to do on here is I need to go GV, no, I need to go position is GV, must be source position. And on this thing here, I need to make, in fact, I need to do on the second one, which is the destination, I need to do position equals destination GV destination position. So that's how it should look now. And I think that we're going to be actually okay on this at this point. So I should be able to reset. I don't think I need these bits anymore. So I'm just going to put these little markers in here. If you can see it go green, then those things won't actually apply. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to reset the game. So if I click start game, then it's all going to go back to the beginning. It's taking a bit longer than I thought it would, but all it's got to do is just to take the value that is in its memory and then commit that. So we're back to normal, apart from the fact that we've got some very peculiar colors down at the bottom. And so I now should be able to go from, and I should be able to go to, and I can go commit move. And that does move, and I can go from, and you can see that the numbers don't actually change either, and I can go commit move. Hello, that did move. Now I can go from and then to, and then I go commit move, and now I can go, I should be able to go from, and this is really the whole magic of this now, is that if I go commit move now, I should get this one to take it. And it has actually done it. I'm really pleased with that, actually. The one thing that I thought, that there are some peculiar things that you can do with you can, where if you have one of the parts of the game is you can, I think castling could be interesting, because, but I don't think it's going to be too bad. So say for example, I'm just going to get rid of, I think if I go from and to, and I go commit, no, it won't actually do it. But anyway, so let me just go from and to, get you out of there, and go commit move. And I'm just going to get rid of this one. Oh, actually, he can go over there. So I go from and to, and then do commit move. Oh, and it's actually the queen. And so I'll actually have to pop the queen out. So I go from and to, commit move, and then do, I can now do from and to, then do commit move, and I can go from and to, and I can commit that move as well. So that will mean that you can actually castle as well. So I think that actually delivers on most things. And in fact, if you wanted to get rid of a piece, all you'd have to actually do, because there are certain situations where you may literally just need to get rid of a piece, and you need to be able to deal with that. So in this situation, this one sometimes can take things like this. So you go from to like that, and you go commit move. And if I wanted to get rid of that piece, I could go from and to, and I could just literally go commit move, and that one should disappear, which is great. So we kind of have a working game, but it looks absolutely horrible as far as I'm concerned. So what I'd quite like to do is I'd quite like to I'd quite like to make it so that these from and tos disappear. So I'm just going to do another admin box here, and I'm going to call it checkbox admin. I'll call it from to. And what I can do there is that I can, on these two things here, I'll put the visible, and that would be CKB admin from to. So now we've got a board that looks a bit more like a board, and if I actually untick this, I think it'll disappear. So now it's starting to look like a chessboard. I'm actually quite impressed with this. I need to just move these little fellas up here like this. I think that will just about, now bear in mind they're in bottom right corner as well, which hasn't helped me. So if I kind of move this fella across here and up here, it's only when you get to the point where you actually want to make a move that you need to actually get on there. But it does actually look quite good, doesn't it? So I would probably move this little fella over here because it's a bit sort of in your face. You don't really need it anyway. So now let's see what that board looks like. So this is the so I'll just move this down here because move, I'll put that as move, something like that. And what I will do is, so if I go move like this, I get my from tos. It does look absolutely horrible. There'll be loads of ways in which you could improve this. For starters, let's make it a bit smaller, and I'm going to probably just make it an F and a T. So just go on to there, and I'm going to make you super small, and that'll be F. Actually, no, I don't know whether it's sort of size. Just go on to there, and I can make it. I'm going to make it 4, and I'm going to make you size, and then go on to that to make it 4, and then I'm going to just have to make you really small. Actually, I can't make it small, so I'm going to have to go to the width. I'm going to make the width 25 because that's the same difference. And the width on this one, width, and make that one 25, which is great. Just about there. I'm sort of tempted to kind of just shift these a little bit over because I'd still quite like to see them. And yeah, you could do different bits and pieces here. So nearly there. So now that's what the board looks like, and if I go into admin mode, I can actually start the game. It's going to reset the game for me so that everything's in the right place. I seem to have that number in rather a lot of times, so I would take that out, and then if I untick this, I've now got a working game. I can see that the chessboard isn't quite right yet, and that's slightly annoying for me, so I will fix that. I'm going to do that now. So you can see here that what I did was I made a mistake here, and I just made them all black, and if I just copy that and paste it down there, then I can make them white. I'll need to save it. And then I just want to just check save as, just make sure I know where it's actually saving to. I think I know where it's saving to. Yep, I do. But what I need to do, there is a trick to actually bringing this in again. So what I need to go to view data sources, and what I'll have to do is I have to remove this from it, and it'll all just explode. So if I click remove, well, it has exploded, believe me. And then what I need to do, go to view data sources, and then just type in Excel up here and click on import data, and it'll then offer me chess resources, which has now been updated. And then I'll choose the table chess resources, click connect. Now remember, that this table is in memory, so it doesn't realize it's changed yet. But when I click Start Game, it will then redo the process, and we should get whites versus blacks. So, and at this point, we can actually click to remove that, and I'm pretty close to saying that I'm done on this. So I'm just going to go click Commit Move, and I can now go from, and yeah, I could actually just literally start having the game now. I would make some improvements to this, because actually I find it a little bit annoying that you got the from and the tos, and I would be inclined to make it so that it's kind of just the outline of this. So I think that, but I think from the point of view of, is it a game that could genuinely work? Well, it kind of is. It definitely works. So I am going to stop it at this point. I will do a very quick run through of what we actually did, because it wasn't really that much. We brought in a data source. We've actually got an image which came from the internet, which I then put onto GitHub. We've got a gallery. So where's our gallery gone? And I don't want to get it there. We haven't actually got many things on here. We've got a gallery, and if you look at the items, it's this cold game board. How do we get the cold game board? Well, we actually had a something here, and we have an on select on there, and we ClearCollect game board from the chess resources. That's dead easy. And what we can do from there is we can then click the from, and we do on select on that. That's where it does, to be fair, get a bit more complicated. So that's one piece, and there's also the to button tool, and it's the on select, and then so we're setting these variables, and the final piece is this commit move piece, which is fiddly. It definitely doesn't need this thing anymore, but that's really it. So the one thing that we have covered that we've never covered before, really, well, we covered collections, but also updating a collection, that's fiddly, and that's where we have to kind of home in on the row and that we're trying to update, and then that's when we update it. And the reason why we had an issue with the chess colored boards is the tiles was because it was just essentially forgetting what colour they were. It just didn't know, which would mean that we'd have to keep updating it. So we have come to the end of the session. Just remember that all of the resources that we have been using in this session can be found at github.com PowerApps4Kids/chess. And let's just remind ourselves of what we've actually done here. We've got a chessboard that actually looks like a chessboard. We can actually get to the point where we can sort of say what our moves are. So we can then sort of go, well, I need to move this one from here to here, and I can do a commit move, and I can look back at the screen, and it does look like a proper chessboard. I'm really impressed with the visuals that we've got. We have dealt with some complex concepts along the way, but they're actually they're concepts that you just reuse over and over again. So if you have any queries, do please let us know in the comments, because we can make sure that it's easy for you to consume it in that way. And otherwise, let us know what you'd like to see more of. And otherwise, it's bye from me, Rory Neary, and bye from PowerApps4Kids. We'll see you again sometime soon.